I got it.
Welcome to the fine print, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Caleb Teskey, and today I got a super special guest. I'm joined by Kyle Anger from Williston, aka DJ Kanganade. Kyle, thank you so much for joining me tonight, man.
Yo, thank you for having me, Caleb. I'm really stoked to be here, man.
This is gonna be fun. I've done a little bit of dirt digging on you in the last
Ah,
couple days.
well, I should have expected as much because I know how you treat your other guests, and so I'm just giving you shit, man. I'm ready though.
I'll give them the treatment. Before we get started, would you mind sharing your 5 minute life story with us?
Yeah, sure. I grew up here in Burlington, Vermont, and my family is from in and around town. I went to Monte Cristi, parochial school. I went to Rice after that. I went to UVM after that. Started DJing when I was in high school. I had been playing drums for like 5 or 6 years before that.
Okay.
And I was just really interested in, wicked, 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 like that whole scratching thing is really what got me. It wasn't playing the music or doing parties or anything. It was making that noise. So I saved up for a whole summer of mowing lawns for $20 at a time till I made about $600 or so, and was able to buy like one of these like all-in-one kits that for Gemini. And it was, it wasn't very nice, but they were direct drive, and it came with like headphones and little studio monitors and stuff. And that was the beginning of it. I had a friend in high school that gave me a whole bunch of records, various. His name's Mike Chaffee. I'll drop his
I was
name.
gonna say, do you care to name him? Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hopefully he'll see it. But he was a couple years older than me, and he actually had been DJing the high school dances at the time. And he would do it on two turntables and a mixer. And that was also like a catalyst for me as well, because I saw those and I was like, damn, like that's so cool. And just records in general, kind of interested me back in the day. Right around that time, like 2002, it was, there was a lot of MP3 stuff going on. The whole digital era was booming. And so to have like a hard copy, something like you could actually touch and manipulate, and, make it go slow or fast or backwards or forwards or like all these things, was kind of fascinating to me. At that time, CDJs couldn't even do that. There weren't any sort of controllers that could manipulate digital files like that. So you had to do it, analog. But
How
yeah,
old are you now, Kyle? If you don't mind me
yeah,
asking.
no, I don't mind. I'm not ageist at all. You can tell by the beard. But I'm 36.
Yeah. See, I
So
can't tell because I'm almost 40, and I feel like oh, it's
you know what it is? Is like about 6 years ago. I feel like something. So almost 7 now years ago. Something I had my son. And that puts gray hairs on anybody. So it's funny if you go back and look. Like I'm putting his crib together, like lush, full, beard. It's not a gray in it. But yeah. So
so I don't have any kids. Why do I have this?
that's genetics. No, I don't know, man. I'm just joking. You know what I mean? But uh, but yeah.
I'm German. I'm supposed to have the best genetics in the world,
Oh
but
yeah.
I have psoriatic arthritis, and I'm going gray. I don't know.
Yeah, you're a handsome fellow to me, man. All right.
Now, I want to ask you this. I got a question from my Ma Dukes here coming in, and
Okay.
she advised me to ask you about the history of the name Kanganade. And
Oh yeah.
shout out to my mom's. you know, a,
That was your mom's that
shameless,
asked that question. Oh
yeah,
word.
shameless plug for mom.
Oh word. Well, DJ names, as I'm sure that Caleb, they're kind of lame. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really like them, and it's like when anybody tries to give themselves a nickname, it's kind of weird.
You
Like, it doesn't
can't give
really work.
yourself a nickname, right?
Yeah, you can't. Right, it doesn't really stick well. It doesn't. I don't know. For some reason, to me, it just doesn't feel right. And I think that's why you see like a lot of DJs in town, even like they'll just go by their name. So there's DJ Craig Mitchell. There's geez, who was back in the day now? Now, see, this is what I was saying. I had to write notes, otherwise I'll forget if I get put on
Wow.
the spot.
Don't forget on
Because I
me.
can I can only think of one right now, obviously. But and of course it's Craig. But it's because it's like DJ names are weird, man. And so, anyways, when I went to college, my name was my login name was Kanger. Kanger, you know what I mean? Just Kyle K and then Anger. And
First
then
initial dot last name.
Right, it just Kanger, and everybody thought that was funny because it was like kangaroo, you know what I mean? It was like so close to that. And so it was a couple years later, really, like I had gotten out of college and everything, and I was into graph, you know, since I was a kid, since I was, you know, early high school years. I was into graph before I was into DJing, and I was into break. Yeah.
Can we stop there and just talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, just before I had been introduced to like DJing and hip hop and stuff, I don't know, I had found out about graph, I think through breakdancing, because breakdancing was the first thing that I had gotten into as far as like the four elements go.
And I got a note here that says Kanga is also an ill break dancer. He cuts it up with Will C at Secret Walls recently. Get him to do the robot.
Oh shoot, that's right. Oh man, I had almost forgot about that. Yeah, that's busting up my chops there. I don't really get down too much anymore, mainly because I know 36 doesn't sound old, but like if you don't keep in shape with that stuff, you know, you can't do it. Like Wish, you know, our homie Steve, he keeps in shape and he's always doing it, and so he's still got his moves. But man, if you don't keep up with breaking, because it's so much core and upper body strength. But shoot, man. So that I used to break way back in the day when I was young, and that story that somebody brought up is we were at Secret Wars at Higher Ground with the
might have been Brian Clark.
Oh yes, oh dude, that's right. He always busts my chops, man, when I break, because he always happens to be there. Because he's like my brother from another mother. Like we'll me and Brian Capes, whatever, we'll show up to a place and we won't have talked, you know, for months, but we're dressed exactly the same. We've got like same color shoes on, like dark wash jeans, like some sort of like camo jacket with a, you know, like a gray or black hoodie and like an anthill hat. And it's like, did you guys plan this? You know, and like, but yeah, so Secret Wars, Higher Ground, just a couple months ago, there was they tried to spice it up, you know, to add in like a little bit of fun, because it's just people painting on stage, you know, and so people are just kind of sitting there, you know. So the MC came out and was like, let's do a dance battle, you know, and I didn't want to, and of course I got nudged forwards, whatever, and ended up, of course, having to breakdance battle Will. Will C in the wheelchair. So it was like, oh, what the heck did they, you know, they don't even know that we know each other. But so we had fun, and I did like a little slide play around thing on the floor and freeze, you know, and just some simple moves. And then Will actually, in his balancing his wheelchair and doing his moves and stuff, fell over backwards and then like tumbled up and picked himself up and sat on the stage. And I just like, you know, I was like, he wins, you know, he literally break danced, you know, like
I was gonna say, who won?
Will won. It was a crowd vote for sure, but they all gave us t-shirts and stuff, and it was fun. It was cool. But yeah, so you know, breakdancing I did, you know, a long time ago, and then graph. So anyways, back to where we were, I started writing graph, you know, and doing all sorts of names and writing, and got a black book, and at some point I started writing Kanga at the kind of help of a old girlfriend that will remain unmentioned right now. But she this particular person wrote graph as well, and was really talented in art and all that other stuff and everything. And I don't know, was sort of, you know, teaching me stuff and whatever and that. And so I started writing Kanga, and fast forward a couple of years later, start doing more shows and things. Facebook's out, you know, and it, you know, when we start booking things, we do a Google search. There's a Kanga over in Europe somewhere. I can't remember where it is. A DJ Kanga, and he's huge.
There's a few of them. I looked it up.
Yeah. So you know, me and the homie Heilig, Nick Heilig, do you know him?
Oh, I saw some of his artwork over at Winooski Organics, and I really liked his style. Yeah.
So he is a good friend of mine. Homie,
I'd love to get him on the show.
I'll send him a message, man. I'll share this with him. But he's, you know, I've known him for years, you know, way before I, you know, even known my wife and everything. And you know, we've just been friends for ages. We used to throw house parties and stuff together. And we used to throw you know, nights together, like for hip hop, you know, rap artists and stuff and whatever. And so we're the ones kind of researching this shit one night, and we find out that, oh shit, there's a DJ Kanga over in Europe, and he's playing like stadiums and stuff and like big things, and it's like and he's pumping his fist and stuff, and that's neither here nor there.
Boots
But
and pants.
yeah, it was one of those kind of style ones, but that's so whatever, EDM kind of style. So
we're gonna come back to that, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Continue on though, sir.
So Heilig and I used to run a group together called Connect the Drops, and it was short-lived. Rico was making the beats, Eric McEdward, and
one of my first guests. By the way, he was my second guest ever, and I fucking love that kid.
Yeah, Eric is a genuine soul. That guy is awesome.
And he makes amazing music.
Yeah. And, always working and progressing. Like his sound from back in the day when we were self-portrait has really progressed. He
just doesn't quit. That kid.
Nah,
he just keeps going.
Yep, and he's definitely been putting in a lot of work recently.
Okay.
But
sorry to interrupt you there. Yeah.
Tangents. But in any case, so then we're rapping one night or whatever. I'm DJing and Heilig's practicing and stuff, and he has this line that says, it's supposed to say, my DJ Kanga is about to blow like hand grenades or something like that. He was supposed to rap Kanga with hand grenades somehow, or I don't know. And we were stoned and just hanging out and whatever, rapping late night. And it came out as my DJ Kanganade's about to blow the fuck off. And we were like, and we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, huh. A Kanganade. It's like a hand, like, I don't know. And that's where that came from.
So it was a happy accident. It sounds.
It was a weird thing. Yeah. It was my DJ Kanga's got hand grenades about to blow the fuck off, I think was the line that Heilig was supposed to say. And he's just, my DJ Kanganades, I got a hand, whatever, about to blow the fuck. And we're like, oh.
I feel like I saw some artists that have done some grenades sort of stuff.
Yeah, so that's the homie Josh Kerman, who's part of was CS DJ. Now he's doing My DJ Lens. And he also works for DJ Life, I think is what it's called now, which used to be DJ Mag or whatever. So the DJ magazine. So anyways, but yeah, he's a super talented guy with graphic design and filming and promotion and all that stuff. So one day when we were just working on stuff, I was like, yo, do you think you could help me out with a quick little logo? And I had the idea of doing like the fish logo with kind of like the mixture with like the grenade from the logo for that snowboard company. And so we kind of talked and workshopped a little bit, and that's what came out was the little Kanga hand grenade, a Kanganade.
And it looked sick.
Yeah. I still got to get stickers made up. I don't know if people would be down with stickers,
Everybody's down with stickers, bro. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like, I don't know if you'd ever catch me if I made like a shirt. I don't know if you ever catch me wearing it, but if people are down to wear a Kanganade shirt. If
you made grenade shirts, dude, I'd be your first customer.
All right, Ward. See, there we go. That's all I needed. That's it. So, all right, maybe that'll be in the works. But yeah, so that's the origin of the name, and it just stuck. And since then, I've tried to drop the DJ a little bit because I'm trying to do more like artistic level, just like scratching level stuff. I mean,
everybody knows you're a fucking DJ. You don't need that necessarily.
Right. Yeah. And I think at some point, I know like Mike Transplant, he kind of was trying to do the same thing as well. It's like, cut that DJ off, because sometimes he's not even DJing. He's just scratching and making music and playing samples and, doing all sorts of other things. So that you can do, with this kind of stuff. So yeah, down with that. But yeah, so
I gotta just back up for a second, and I hate to ask this question because this is a basic bitch question, but like, who are your influences? Really, I got a couple guesses.
Go for your guess.
I just have to ask it. It's a cheesy question, and I fucking hate to do it, but it's important, I think.
The number one influence and mentor and person that I would say that I looked up to in DJing was of course A-Dog, for sure. No doubt. That guy had been in town spinning records and skating and being an influence like that since I was a kid, a wee one. I went and bought a tech deck from him at the old B-side back before they were tech decks. They were keychains that they would get the little rings off of them and they would put little grip tape on it for you. You know what I mean? Those were like,
I love the B-side. That was one of my favorite stores.
Yeah, before there was like a brand or anything. I just remember that day. He wasn't always in there. He's always busy and stuff. But the day that I bought a tech deck, I'll never forget. He gripped it for me. It's just so ridiculous, you know, putting little grip tape, a little tiny board. But that's how it was done before there was, you know, a company that was mass producing them and stuff. But and then, you know, I would go watch him, you know, DJ events and stuff. And I used to even, you know, sneak into a, you know, like late night stuff, whatever. You know, like restaurants and things. Like I'd even go sit. You know, I look
Wow.
old too.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. Some of them were as simple as just like going to like a restaurant or an event, you know, or somewhere where like they would only charge 21 plus later and just hang out. Just fucking hang out, you know what I mean? And it would take it's sure you're investing some time, but to me it was worth it back then. Because it was just study. It was study time. It was like, holy shit, you know, like I just gotta watch this guy and learn. And so yeah, definitely A-Dog for everything, for how he DJ'd and how he, you know, held himself, how he treated others, like everything. Huge influence and mentor. But you know, musicality wise, definitely the Beat Junkie crew. They're from the Bay Area there out West Coast. And that includes like Rhapmatic, Babu of like Dilated Peoples. Rhapmatic was doing stuff with the Visionaries, I think, as well. DJ Shortcut, D Styles, Melody. Those guys are all people that were part of that crew. They would put out mixtapes back in the day called the World Famous Beat Junkies. And
Babu's dope. Yeah. I'll get you that one. Yeah.
Yeah, Babu is nuts, man. I actually got to meet him and open up for him way back in the day when the lab was going on, this place that I taught DJing at. And they had Babu come and he did like a sit down seminar where he like talked about how he makes his beats, which his beats are super dope. And he and then talked about his scratching and how he makes routines and all those other kind of things. And then like little question and answer. And then he went on to perform and like do a set. And it was like, awesome. Whoa. Yeah, super cool.
That sounds like a good fucking time.
Yeah, for like nerds, you know, that kind of want to nerd out, you know, a little bit. I think it was awesome. You know what I mean? Because going to see somebody DJ at where kind of I don't know how this will sound, but at my level, I'm always analyzing them. I can't not analyze them. Where you know what I mean? And there's and I try not to be judgmental in that as much as I can. But you know what? It's hard not to be sometimes. And so it's good.
When you're an artist and you walk into a space with other artists, you're always sort of looking at what they're doing.
Right. It's hard not to. So it was cool though to like kind of meet the artist. You know, sometimes you go and do an event and you just see them do something on stage and you don't really know you know, kind of what's going on. So, but yeah, the Beat Junkies and ISP, the Invisible Scratch Pickles, you know, DJ Cuber and DJ Apollo.
Cuber's dope. Yeah.
Yeah. And once again, I got to open up for Cuber and meet
I remember
him
that.
and talk to him and whatnot. And that was, man, what a cool guy. I know there's some questionable online behavior, but that's neither here nor there. But his scratching,
I missed all that. But in terms of DJs with talent, I mean, Cuber is world class.
Yeah, I would say he's, you know, the Michael Jordan or whatever. He revolutionized what people did with the turntables, and more so because he was one of the first dudes to start like teaching and like really showing people. And I know it's kind of sounds, and this is where like Andy A-Dog would disagree, because he didn't really put names on any of the scratches. He was all emotive. He just kind of felt the record and knew how to move it in time and create cool sounds, you know. But Cuber was one of the first dudes to come out and be like, that sound you did, that rhythm, that's this. That's a, you know, a transform, and that's a 2-click flare, and this is a chirp, you know, blah blah blah, you know, whatever. And started putting all these names so everybody could start talking and being like, oh, you know, and so it opened up, I think, a lot. Because I remember being a kid and like searching on the internet and shit, trying to find out how to like do scratches. Because I knew people had these techniques and things on how to do them.
How about Mix Master Mike?
Oh yeah, Mix Master Mike. He was a member of ISP, of course, original member. He's out there, man. He's crazy.
He is a little crazy, right?
Yeah.
But that dude was. It seemed like an innovator in that space.
Yep. Yeah, he was one of the original members. Actually, I totally forgot to mention him, of ISP, where they were like in a room. And it was Mixmaster Mike, I think, was just practicing drums. He was, practicing. Hang
Oh
on.
boy, he's getting up. Look at this. We're gonna talk about these fucking figurines behind you too later.
Oh yeah, we'll get to those.
Yeah, okay.
I was just gonna show, like, like this is what Q was doing here, or Mixmaster Mike.
I don't hear any sound, Kyle. Oh, a little sound. There we go.
Just need to be louder. So. Right. So, like, could you hear that? Could you hear that?
The sound is fucked up.
Oh, weird. I wonder if it's too loud. But weird. I'm just playing it through my speakers. It's like me talking.
I know. There we go.
Can you hear that?
A little bit there, yeah.
It might be the bass. I don't know. But so he was just scratching. He was scratching drums. He got some drums that went like boom, clap, and then he was just editing it in his own way. And then one of the other members, like Kubert, came in and was like, "Oh, that's super dope," and he put on like a horn, and he played to him, and then Apollo came in and was like, "Oh," and he played some other thing, and that's where like the DJ band started, was right there, and like kind of like a similar way of that, like catalyst of like all at once.
Who was those dudes? The Executioners.
Yep. I got. They're another actually huge influence back in the day. This was, whoops, that's not. It's this one. Pulling out a record. This record right here, built from scratch.
Yep.
And
I have that on CD at my house.
Yeah. I definitely had it on CD too as a kid, and I got it on vinyl much later. But yeah, it was crazy enough, man, because I was kind of like a punk rocker kid in high school. It was
I heard that about you.
No way. They did Linkin Park. What was this one? It's Going Down with Mike Shinoda and Mr. Hahn of Linkin Park. So it was really
I liked Linkin Park.
Dude, I know.
I went and saw them in Worcester. I saw them at the DCU Center.
I never saw them live, but
we ate a bunch of mushrooms and we went down there and we watched Linkin Park, and POD opened for them, and that was terrible. But
I definitely had PODs for a CD. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but I really liked Linkin Park. I was a big fan.
Yeah. I mean, their first album, Hybrid Theory, was definitely pretty, revolutionary in forms of like prog rock, you could say.
I liked it. They caught me in that sad, angry teenager phase. Like my girlfriend just left me, kind of.
Oh, wicked. Yeah. And it was, poor RIP to Chester, because like who, and not like I'm going to sound like an ass, but like who saw that coming? Like, geez, that's, but
you ain't wrong. No.
But yeah. And so they had a DJ, like even Limp Bizkit back in the day. I would listen, DJ Lethal.
I went to a Limp Bizkit show. I saw them at Woodstock in '99. I'm not gonna lie, I had a great time.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. I mean, I'm glad you did, because that was like the crazy one, right? Where
I thought their first album was really good, and then the second album was like a little played out.
Was
$3
Bill the first album? No.
Yeah. Counterfeit and that shit. I really liked that album. It was a little heavy, and I kind of liked it. And then the second album with the Nookie. I did it all for the Nookie, like
There's a song specifically on that one. Man, I thought I was gonna have the name of the album come to me, but now Chocolate Starfish was the next one.
That was the third album.
Yeah, that one I didn't like.
That was after the Nookie.
That's where I fell off. Yeah. No, it's not gonna happen. I remember the cover. It had the dude in the hat, and he was doing like the big kick.
And Premier did a song with Method Man on that second album.
Right. Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Where we gonna run? Maybe we can meet up on the sun. This question is advised for the blood of virgin eyes. You
actually kind of sound like him back in the day. You could do a fucking karaoke of it, Caleb.
Let's get the sunblock. You getting one shot before you.
But there was one song, I can't remember what it was, but it had Lethal at the end just scratching, and I think it was the only song on that whole album.
That was the one.
And it was just, I don't know, for me, like it was funny being a kid. and I didn't know much about hip hop. There wasn't anybody up here to really introduce me to it, so I would just find scratching in all these like weird little places and stuff, like Incubus, for instance. That's another old influence on me.
I like Incubus.
Dude, who, I mean, yeah, who doesn't? I mean, really, they make great music, and they kind of go all over the place, too, within their style. They have a lot of a different emotion, but and now I'm so bad because I don't remember the name of the DJ, and I've looked it up like 5 times.
I never knew it to
And
begin with.
It never sticks. But the dude's a badass. He's an absolute beast. And the one scratch track that's off of the Make Yourself album, it's like Battle Scratch something or other, Star Galactica, and that was I don't know, I used to just listen to that song on loop.
No shit.
Yeah, just like studying the cuts and stuff. But yeah, a lot of, there was another band too, a heavy influence, just kind of like a spark, that they were called Liquid Soul, and they were like this acid jazz funk group from Chicago. And they had a DJ that was like part of their group, and that would actually like do cuts, in and out, and they would give them solos and stuff, just like another instrument. And so that was really cool to hear, back in the day. But yeah.
You got to give your DJ solos, right?
I mean, yeah, I would think that's like what I like. Like when I think of like quintessential hip hop, I think of Dilated People's style, where it's Babu cutting in the margins, maybe doing accents here and there, and then like a chorus, and then maybe even a solo at the end. The rappers get like.
I used to love that tune. Worst come to worst, my peoples come first. I remember, and I saw them with. It was the Dilated People and the Beat Nuts at Old Higher Grounds in Winooski. Like,
oh man,
boy, it must have been 2001 or two, somewhere back there. Great show,
dude. That's when we used to get a lot of good hip hop shows coming through back in the day. But yeah, I don't know. There's some
but
heads
now we just got you.
There's some heads that are trying to work on some bigger things and bring some names in. I guess the thing is not too many people are doing it anymore, at least touring, like that. So Vermont used to be the stop, from New York basically up to Canada. And that's getting like this great flow of artists that would come through that little area. It's just, I don't know if that flow is happening as much anymore. And it's hard to promote. There was a lot of big time promoter guys that back in the day that were putting those shows on that I don't think are anymore. So, but anyways, yeah.
But like we have a really nice talent base right here, yourself included, with that. With some really nice rappers in the Burlington area, and who have friends that kind of, and I want to tie this in with your hat on your head there with the Ant Hill guys and the Green Door Studios, because we just had a show there last Saturday, and it seems like that there is a nexus here of amazing artists.
Yeah,
including Scotty and Nicole Chrisman, who I want to shout out, and Will C at Green Door Studios for hosting these events. But in terms of bringing artists in, it seems like the hardest part is really getting everyone together on the same night in the same place. Like the talent is definitely here.
As far as like regional acts, it's money too, and time, and getting those people here, like whatever. But as far as what you're talking about, and I think this is, we're on the same page as a lot of other people too that are within the scene, is we're kind of trying to focus more locally. And see if we can, just kind of put on these shows ourselves, because there's so many dope artists that are here, that are putting time and effort and work into, their product that they want to put out.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to like kind of big up the local scene in that way. So I want to keep doing shows like that, and as much fun as it is to bring in talent from other places. I think that with the amount that everybody's working right now and pushing and doing stuff, it's like we should big up the people that are here.
Absolutely. And and especially in the Burlington area, because it's like it seems like you're always there. You can argue with me if you want, but it seems like whenever there's a show that needs a DJ, you're offering up your services and you are there, and that's a huge piece of the whole show. And now,
I try, and sometimes people don't want to DJ, and sometimes, they'll say, I don't want to pay a DJ, can you just come do this kind of thing? And so there's a lot in between that, but yeah, I like to do it. You know what I mean? It's something that I've
That's
put
obvious. I mean,
20 years.
we gathered that, Kyle.
Yeah. And like one of the great examples, I guess, would be shout out Green Door is I would just call them, I'd be like, hey, I feel like DJing. Can I bring my stuff down? And for a while there, SK, and Will, I'd go hang out with them. I just bring down that little Porta Scratch, the little like briefcase thing, and like a little speaker and stuff. But since I've gotten this new equipment within the last year, like that's just a toy, that's just like a little thing, like, that if I can't have access to this stuff, like maybe I'll use that. But so I'll just drag the turntables, the mixer, the speakers, the sub, everything down to Green Door just to DJ, just for fun, play some music with my homies and whatever, and we'll call up some people if they want to come through, whatever. That's awesome. And we've turned it into some bigger nights before, but just doing it for the love, man, is a lot of fun.
Regardless of really, like we did one, like maybe, I don't know, I want to say 4 months ago. During the summer, it was warm. I remember coming through for one, and then again just last weekend.
Yeah.
And regardless of how many people are there, it seems like we always got like a really nice vibe there. Like Scotty just attracts a fucking really good crowd.
Yeah.
And talented performers, and that's it's just a perfect environment, really, as far as I'm concerned. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I totally agree. I love that place. There's been some late night shenaniganery for sure. It's been, pretty silly there. But it's a blast.
I was actually told to ask you about some of the late night shenaniganery there. That's in my list of questions here.
Well, so the homie SK and I, Scotty Raymond, we've been friends.
How did you guys meet? Could you tell us that, please?
Yeah, for sure, man. And I hope I get this right. But SK and I have probably been circling each other for a while. And it was actually when he was doing a lot of stuff with Bless the Child. And actually, I have a funny story with SK too. He's behind. We're behind. I have a few, but I remember this is before we were friends, and I was DJing down at Arts Riot, and it was for the sound effects shows. I don't know if you were around for those or not. They were put on by the homie Mertz. And so anyways, I come out to the back, they're all smoking and stuff, and I say, and Rajni's there and SK's there and Planto, and I'm like, yo, you got to be ready, you guys are on next. And they go, we're waiting for Jeff. And I go, who? And they go, Humble. And I'm like, what? And so I've known Humble longer than any of those dudes. I've known him for a long time.
And I feel like I heard you say Humble is one of your favorite MCs to perform with.
Definitely. Absolutely. And that's a whole other, we can get into that, but just, but back to SK, like that's how, I remember that being one of the first times we talked, and he was the one that what Humble's real name is, because it was just like ridiculous, you know what I mean? It was like, what? Like I thought all these years the way that he looks, dressed, presents himself, whatever, I thought his name was Humble. That must be his name. And so that was mad funny experience.
He seems like a really nice guy. I met him the other night, and we chatted a little bit, and
mad nice, and really awesome dude, very genuine, and like sick with the flow. Like one of my favorite rappers that I think I've ever gotten the chance to do stuff with. But yeah, back to SK. I was doing Yo BTV Raps at the same time that he wanted to get the Third Thursday back up and running, and we came out and just like talked to each other, and he had me start DJing one night, and he was we kept kind of turned into like it wasn't supposed to be me, I think, every month doing it, and then it kind of slowly turned into that,
but it was
yeah. And so then we're outside. I'll never forget this either. We were outside Sidebar after Yo BTV Raps event back in the day, and he kind of looks at me and he goes, if we don't do this, who will? If you or me don't put on these events and get people together and have them come through and come rap and whatever, and, DJ and all that other stuff, who's going to do it? And I kind of looked at him and I was like, I don't know right now,
That's a great question.
Yeah. At that time, there wasn't too many other people doing those kind of shows. And it's kind of stayed that way. There's been a few that they've tried, but nothing had the staying power as Yo BTV did for a little bit, or to a greater extent, Third Thursdays. I mean, Third Thursdays was a fucking establishment.
And Scotty really has that kind of ability to bring people together on a level that, like, especially in a like kind of a small city like Burlington, like on a regular basis. If Scotty throws a party, there's always people there. It's always a beautiful crowd. There's always talented artists and musicians in the building, and I've never left feeling like I've been cheated at all. I always have a great time every time I come through.
Yeah. He's well traveled. He's been around, and met a lot of people, and everywhere he's gone, people have latched onto his magnetism, and so it's definitely an easy thing for him to like call, like if he wants to hold a party, like shit, everybody's going to be there, and not to mention in the graph scene, he's super dope. He's got great work, and now he's been tatting for the last couple of years, and that's gone great. He actually did my tat. It's all small and weird, but
is that a Scotty right there?
That's an SK OG original.
Fuck yeah. I'm gonna get him to tattoo lips on my butt cheeks because I want people to kiss my ass or whatever. But
wow. Dang. Oh man. He's not gonna go cheap on that one.
I know, but I want Vermont artists to tattoo lips on my butt cheeks. That is a project I'm working on, and I would like to open it up to as many Vermont tattoo artists as possible.
There it is. It's put out into the ethosphere right now. Hopefully somebody will pick that up.
Now, Kyle, I'd like to take a little tangent right here, and I'd like to ask you about your knife obsession.
Yes. Oh, geez. Where do we want to start?
At the beginning.
At the beginning. Oh man, I don't even know where it started. As you can see, I'm into collecting things, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the rest of your collections later, but I'm gonna start with the knives, please.
Okay, so the knives was like I actually had like a couple of weird experiences down when we were living in Massachusetts, the wife and I, and at the time we were just dating, but I was having to take the train down into like inner Boston, like I was going down to like Dorchester, Roxbury area, and then having to walk through a good 10-15 minutes to get to the school where I was working at, and it was a rugged, it was a rugged area,
not the best area of Boston.
No, not at all. And this was back in 2011 too, so a little over 10 years ago. So like we'd read in the Metro, the Boston Globe, the Metro section about fucking drive-bys and like kids getting hit off their scooters and beat the fuck up because their brothers are in gangs and shit, and like all sorts of wild shit. But so I got this idea, like I should carry a knife. Stupidly, I should carry a knife. Now that I've gotten into it and stuff, I don't think I'd ever want to have fight with a knife ever. But so that's kind of what started it. And so and my brother Troy Ange, he's 8 years younger than me, he's in the military, so he's always kind of been into that. He's into firearms and and all that kind of stuff. And so he was the dude that I kind of just asked, like, hey, could you kind of poke me, like what's something I should look at? Like I know I can't go to Walmart and buy a knife, like where should I go and what should I look at? And so I'm going to put the blame fully on his shoulders because he was the one that like started, and
blame your family. That's what I usually do.
It's the easiest thing to do. But it was funny because I didn't listen to him. He's my little brother, so he goes, I said, I want this knife. And he said, no, you don't want that knife. You want this knife. And I said, fuck you. I'm getting this knife. And sure enough, like 3 months later, I didn't really like the one that I bought, and I bought the other one that he told me to get, which I still have. I could probably dig it out.
I have a nice knife right here that I bought at your discretion. This is
the Emerson. That's right.
I bought the big brother of the one that you showed me originally.
I'm going through. It's
And
funny.
I
This
gotta
is how
tell
long.
you, this is a nice knife here.
That's a nice knife. I don't even know
It's
where my
fucking pretty nice, Bob.
dude. Those are expensive, man. I've never had a regular Emerson, like a real Emerson. I have a fake Emerson somewhere.
I have a real Emerson. I have two of them
Wow, dude.
because you
That's
you told me to do that.
yeah. I mean, they're nice knives. Yeah, nice knives.
They are.
I wouldn't. Don't treat it like your other one though. Don't use it as a
No,
fucking screwdriver.
I've been very much nicer to the second one. I
Yeah.
had to give it a stress test. It's a knife. I want to see what it can handle.
The thing is like the harder the steel, right, which keeps its edge longer, then the more brittle it becomes.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and so for like a knife like that, like if you're gonna hit it against something, it's definitely gonna break.
Okay.
But like if you're like cutting stuff with it all day, then like the edge is gonna hold.
Well, hey, it would have been nice if you told me that 3 years ago, Dick.
I was gonna say before we knew each other. Oh shoot, no, but yeah, so it's like you'll hear it all the time. Like people will get a knife, like a nice knife, and they'll throw it. They'll think they can throw it at a tree.
Oh, I don't throw it. I just
Yeah.
banged it against the table.
Right. Yep. And think, yeah, there it goes. But
Yeah.
that's known, yeah, for those super high hardness. But
Lesson
yeah.
learned. I always learn best the hard way.
This is funny. I can't find that. I'm gonna have to go find it now because I'm one of those people. I'm like looking through my silly bin of knives and that one silly knife I'm talking
That's okay. We can skip the knife thing. Everybody knows you're a great knife spinner. Let's talk about.
Well, that's a different the silly. I have always one of those.
There we go.
Yeah, that's that. Well, so the knives I originally started collecting just like knives, knives, whatever. And at some point, I had gotten most of them except for one of these doggies. You know what I mean? And at first, I never wanted one of these because I thought they were stupid. Because like, how could you like fight with one? And that's how I was thinking of knives for a long time. Or how could you use one? You know what I mean? It wasn't a good utilitarian knife. And then I saw people flipping them, and I was like, "Ooh, now that looks like fun." And so that was a bad rabbit hole. That was a very expensive rabbit hole to go down. But it's fun, you know what I mean? And I definitely have like a weird like fidget thing. Like you can talk to Will C about it, you know what I mean?
Well, you're always spinning records, and it seems like a very fidgety kind of thing.
It's definitely fidgety. Will actually described it as like holding your breath underwater or something, and you're like constantly waiting for like that little breath of air. But yeah, so but yeah, I don't know. Knives are mad fun. They're silly. It's a waste of time and money, but it's just collection stuff. It's like all the all the other collections.
Talk about the what, I don't even know what to call it. What do you got? Gundams? What is that?
Yeah, so wow, you do know what they are, Caleb. Wow.
I had that shit on Super Nintendo, Gundam Wing or whatever the fuck it was.
Yes, the fighting one.
Okay, yeah, right?
Yeah, it's like a Street Fighter almost kind of game, but you're the big robots. Is it that one?
Yeah, but they also had an RPG where there was sort of some yeah. But I remembered though.
Dope. Yeah, so I watched all those shows and I played a lot of those games when I was a kid, and I just liked the robots. I've always liked robots. When I was a kid, Power Rangers. I hated the show. Did not care about the kids talking to each other and like the weird other like bad guy stuff. All I wanted to see was the freaking Zoids at the end. I wanted all the robots to come together. And
Zords. Wasn't it Zord?
Zords. Yes, Zoids was a totally different thing, which I have one of them.
Megazord, it was when they all came together as one.
Yeah, the Gestalt. Yeah. So I would just like as a kid, I would just fast forward to the end of the show, like just like watch that little part because that was what was cool to me. And so long before the knives ever came into a thing, and I had collected a shit ton of records and stuff, I didn't really have any, space for more records. And I've got a dope collection. I started collecting the silly Gundam models. So you build them, you know what I mean? It was something to do. It was, especially we were living down in Massachusetts there for a year. I didn't have any friends down there. I didn't really have, any acquaintances. It wasn't anything to do. And Kate, my wife or, girlfriend at the time, she was working doing service industry stuff at night. So I'd get home from work and she'd be going to work. So I'd be hanging out, nothing to do and stuff. And this was back, we were living at Kate's mom's back then too. So, my turntables weren't even set up, and it was kind of a rough go of it, but that was one thing, so that exploded, it's a crazy. And then the Transformers too, is just like, I don't know, man. It's one of those things. I'm walking through the store sometimes and I would see one and I'm like, whoa. And then all the movies started coming out, all those ones back in 2009, 10, whatever. And, and I loved them as a kid. And so it's like, I don't know. It's just something fun. They're like little puzzles. I'll sit and watch, movies or TV with Kate. And like, that's like a fidget thing. I'm sitting there, taking it apart and putting it back together. So, but yeah.
Doing the Zoidberg. Wow, that was a better Zoidberg than me.
I love Futurama. That's just great.
And that's a good transition right there, because I talked to your wife.
Oh no.
Yeah, I did. I got a couple statements out of her. I'd like to read them back at you right now and sort of get your impressions.
Let's do it.
Okay, so she said, honestly, Kyle is a guy who, when he knows exactly what he wants, he goes for it. Whether it be in DJing and his deviation to practicing and not wavering and selling out in a way that doesn't work for him, or going for a 30-year-old when he was 22 who didn't even have all his chest hair yet. That man knew what he wanted back then too. He just kept focusing on pursuing me, and it was so attractive. It still is. He focuses that energy into honing his skills now as a DJ who is unwilling to categorize himself and box himself into a particular genre. Instead, he plays what speaks to him. When we first met, I got him into electronic music, and soon he fell in love with that genre and genres like drum and bass and trap, etc. End quote.
Whoa, man, I love that woman. She's great. She's a great woman. Wow. Yeah. Oh man, that's great. Yeah. No, she's 100%. I can't say defer from anything to that. That was accurate, I would say, and it's really cool to hear. I guess. I do try to be driven, but yeah, she definitely introduced me to drum and bass music. And back in the day, man, she was waitressing at the Half Lounge, that old spot, and Tyree and Jess were the owners back in the day, and they're cleaning up one night and they're talking about how they need a DJ midweek, and Kate goes, "Oh, my boyfriend's a DJ," and she tells me this story later on, and I'm like, "Oh God, no." Like, that's like, as a DJ, that's the worst thing you can ever tell, like, don't say my boyfriend's a DJ. Like, shit, they're never going to hire me. They're going to think I'm some chump that's, whatever. But luckily, Tyree is an awesome person. He owns Artistic Ink, the tattoo shop that's and down in Montpelier. But they owned that back in the day. And Jess, I'm not going to remember her last name right now, unfortunately, but she's into real estate now. But in any case, they gave me the opportunity. They were like, "Oh, sure, have him come down. We'll let him play, see what he can do." And that was my first ever like real playing in a bar, just me.
So your wife got you your first gig?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Boom, dude. Right? She was like trying to do management stuff for me for a bit, but now she's got too much of her own stuff. But yeah, and so that was wild. And Tyree and Jess were awesome, and the staff at Half Lounge and everything back in the day. Jory and Tommy, God rest his soul, and Sam, and boy, I know I'm forgetting other people. Tiffany, of course, and we used to have a blast, dude. Like that place was so much fun, and I think they really helped make it so like I felt comfortable, like Kate's talking about, you know what I mean? Like I went in there and I played kind of what I wanted to play that I thought people would like, kind of deal. And you follow their emotions and you read the crowd and you kind of like see what they're feeling and you kind of take them, in that direction that you want them to go. And that was mad fun. I had a residency every Tuesday for 1 year, and then every Wednesday for
Wow.
1 year. So yeah, 2 years I played every fucking week. Um, there. So that's where I cut my chops. Was at the Half Lounge back in the day.
Yo, that's so important to be able to have a place where you can go fucking hone your skills, man.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, now I DJ, maybe every other week I try and be, sometimes it's every week, sometimes it doubles up. I've got 2 gigs, like on a Friday, Saturday. But back then it was quite literally every single week, every single Tuesday, and then shit would double up on that and stuff. And,
Can I tell you something, Kyle? I would
yeah.
like to watch you suck one night because I just get sick of watching you just kill it every fucking night. It gets old, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I don't know.
It's
I
like
guess.
like you've desensitized me because you're just so consistent every
Thanks,
night.
man. Thanks, man. Yeah, I just started teaching a new student, Kadena, of the Human Canvas there. She came over last night. She's been real interested in learning DJing, and I used to teach a whole bunch. And so, I was just showing her like little crash course really quick and on it. And some of the things I told her before we started, I was like, if you ever are confused or if you ever have a question, stop me immediately. Like, don't wait, And so I would do these things where I do it really quick, something that I thought was simple and easy. And she would go, wait, whoa, what was that?
Right.
Rewind back up.
Well, the
So
things you're doing that seem simple and easy are complex and confusing to a novice.
I guess, yeah, and I guess so. But that's, Justin Boland actually was the one that put it best a while ago when I did. Yeah, right. Wombaticus, big up him. We can call him that now again because he's doing rap. So I'm
Hump Source Jones.
But he said, I hadn't really thought about it, but he said something about you've put in your 10,000 hours. And up until that point, when he said that, I was like, huh, like thinking about it the whole time. It's like, holy shit, yeah, probably has been.
I bet you have.
Yeah. So, and this past year,
constantly are grinding.
yeah, I mean, in practicing too, not just playing out.
Well, yeah, I see videos of you out on your lunch break with.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, I had a question here about sort of maybe how technology has allowed you to advance your game plan here.
Oh, for sure, dude. So like a long time ago, I'm just taking the needle off the record here. A long time ago, I was like, I've definitely grown, I would say, as a DJ, because like a long time ago, I hated vinyl or whatever, not vinyl, anything that was digital, whether it was CDJ or even Serato stuff, I didn't like it. And I was like, it's gotta be all organic. It's gotta be, and the more you get into it, it's like, you realize it's just tools to be used. Like all these effects and cue points and looping and all that stuff is just it's just tools to be utilized. And it's just how you use those tools. And same thing, with porta scratching is totally different. That's just like, that was wild when that hit back in like 2015, 16. It was just that revolutionized the game. That was like, what the fuck? I can go anywhere with this little thing and put it on my lap and just,
Right.
And
how much does one of those rigs run you? A couple $100 bucks?
The original one I used, which is the PTO one from Newmark, is it's like $120. But then what I got into, of course, being a nerd and whatever, was modding them out. So I would buy aftermarket parts and take the thing apart and put in the aftermarket parts so it worked better and functioned better to a point where I could actually like use it.
So after your aftermarket parts, what's the maximum cost that would run you?
The one that I have now, the fancy one that I use, is like close to $500. Like, oh yeah, like right around.
So for $500, you can sit out and scratch records on your lunch break.
Yeah, the hard part now is finding the records. So the records is like all of them, because scratch records don't sell very well, and there's not a lot of people that really do it. In the grand scheme of things, they're all limited runs. And so if you don't get in on that limited run, if you don't buy, immediately when it drops or whatever, and it sells out, instantly jumps up like sometimes 2 to 3 times, 4 times as much.
Can I ask you to do something for me, Kyle?
Yeah.
I'd like you to reach around behind you and pull 5 records out of that crate at random.
Can I not look? I'll look at the camera. All right,
I don't
right.
care. Just pull the first 5 that hit in your hand. I don't care.
Dude, this is gonna be funny. Okay, wait. So that's one. Hang on, I'm gonna go for this one over here. Oh, these are
now pull 3 out of the bottom. Yeah, 3 from the bottom, probably.
It's all gonna be. Wait, hang on. I gotta pull because they're all categorized by what do you call it? Alphabet.
So, are you that kind of serial killer?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
At least when it comes to records. So I'll pull one out.
Yeah, that's why you kill it every night.
Okay. All right. So what? We're gonna go through these now.
What do we got?
First one up, Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Wow.
Days of Our Lives. There we go.
Nice pull.
This was $14.50. Who paid $14.50 for this? Definitely not me. Soundtrack album. What is it? It's off of a soundtrack. Days of Our
Lives. Want to get together?
I don't even know if I remember this one, but yeah, I flipping love Bone Thugs though. East Eternal 1999. If I start going in, that's what I'm saying is if I would have taken a chunk, I would have pulled out like 6 or 7 Bone Thugs and Harmony records. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
So yeah. Now we got Ludacris, #1 spot. That was the fucking Austin Powers remix one.
Oh yeah.
That people kind of like they love or they hate this one. This is like a risky gamble to play.
I like Ludacris. I'm a Ludacris fan.
No, dude, Ludacris for sure. Most people love him. It's this song because it's the remix of that Austin Powers. You know, yeah, and so it's like, you know, it's funny because now people haven't seen that movie. You know, there's like a whole generation of kids that don't even know that exists. So,
well, you know, parents teach your kids to watch those Mike Myers movies.
First PG-13 movie the kids actually you might have watched.
Mike Myers is hilarious, and Austin Powers is good shit.
Dude, I love those movies. Hold up too; they're pretty fun.
Yeah, Mike Myers, all of Mike Myers comedy, I think holds up.
Dude, for sure.
That out there.
Yeah.
Really?
Next
one we're pulling out, boy.
Yep. This is Knock Knock, whatever with Genius. What the heck? This wasn't. I mean, this was an okay track, but definitely a single from what I think that was in like high school days. Jeez, when did this come out? Yeah, 2002.
I'm not mad that you pulled the Jizza out of there. I've seen the Jizza twice, and he is one of my favorite Wu-Tang members.
Dude. Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, his style is it's so out there and weird, and all the influences that he's got, and you know, from Eastern culture and stuff, I'm totally into. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's an OG pick right there. That's something I bought back in high school. You know, 2002.
Fuck yeah.
That's an old one.
We're picking good here.
Yeah, we're doing okay. This one, this one's dope actually. This is so back in the day, I was nerdy enough that I used to write the BPMs of the songs on the record. Because I didn't have a mixer or a program to be able to tell me. And sometimes I'd like be flipping through the records, you know, DJing a set, and I'd have to be like, I didn't really have time to think about what track it was. I just needed to know what BPM it was so that I could mix it into the next song. So I would look at this and I'd go, oh, this one's got a 98. Bam, you know, boom, go to it. And it was actually A-Dog back in the day. I used to bring like a sheet of paper around. This is early Kanga. This is like, you know, probably 15 years ago now. And on the piece of paper, it would say what the pitch needed to be, plus up 2%, minus 3%, you know, whatever. And it was A-Dog back in the day that was like, yo, dude, I've heard you make some scratch and play. He's like, don't do that. He's like, you're good enough that if you just feel it and like, you know, practice riding that beat and making sure that it stays on, he's like, you'll be able to do it. You know, don't think of it as like some sort of math equation that you got to solve, you know, like it's like an instrument that you're playing. And that, you know,
and at the beginning, you know, like I felt that comment because like when I first started doing comedy, I felt like I got to remember every little detail, but then it was like, nah, just like, you know, these jokes, like you've told them before 100 times, like just let that flow naturally. Right. Don't think about it. But it's hard to not think about it when you're just coming up because, you know, when you're learning this shit, you have to think about everything and until it becomes so sort of just kind of a natural reaction.
Right. There we go. Sorry, I got a call coming in, of course, but I don't have
calls coming in. Yeah, I still got one more thing for you here.
No, hang on. Don't worry. There's nothing going on that I got to get to. This one, though, this one might be funny. This Mixmasters one. Yep. Michael Jackson's Working Day and Night.
Oh, fuck.
Classic. Yeah. Classic one. I don't know. That's that. It's got a sick break in the middle. So I would pick out like a lot of like old funk tracks and stuff that would have these like drum breaks in the middle that I could scratch to. And speaking of, that's what this was for. This is one of these old blazing beats. So like these what the heck the name of this one? Yeah, Nonstop Blazing Beats, and it's from Flex Records back in the day. Shout out Flex Records. Sorry, hang on, there we go. But yeah, this is just a whole bunch of beats that this guy, I don't know, yeah, produced by the Crate Diggers. So they're they actually did a whole bunch of stuff later on, but this doesn't even have. I mean, this thing doesn't even have like any sort of markings on it. It's what they call like a white label. So I don't know.
That's like when you put someone's weed in another company's bag.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like these are
somebody about white labeling.
Yeah. And they call it something else. So this track that's called Groovin', it could really be like a Biggie instrumental or something,
Okay. Gotcha.
So like I got some of those old records that work like that. Like I got a whole bunch of Killa Cuts records, which are white label single, like they were like radio singles that they were just mass produced and stuff, whatever. So but yeah, and then I got a lot of like radio stuff, like promo only. I had friends back in the day that ran radio shows and stuff, so they would like feed me records from the radio stations.
I had a radio show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at Linden State College for one semester in 2002.
No way. And so would you get like records into the station and stuff? Like from like
what we did was the night we left, we played 3 hours of uncensored hip hop and fled the studio.
Yes, dude. That's dope. Just fled the studio.
The guy said, "We're gonna call the police." We said, "All right."
Yeah, because like the FCC gets pretty serious about that shit.
Yeah, you could get a $10,000 fine per curse or whatever.
Per curse, right? Yeah. And like it's funny because
we played "Fuck the Police" by 3 different people. We also played that Biggie song, "Come On, Motherfuckers, Come On."
Oh yeah, come on, come on.
Yeah, with Sadat X. Yeah.
So. Yeah, dude, that's dope, man. That's awesome though. Like
it was fun. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't know, like you could just say you left it on auto DJ or something. And
whose show is it anyway?
Yeah,
you shouldn't have left freshmen in charge of your radio station.
I got to play on WRUV back in the day and Goddard Radio not too long ago.
Oh hell yeah!
And, I recently just did a show for Lo-Fi Radio, LFOD Radio. That's what it's called, LFOD Radio, down in Boston, Massachusetts. And I did all local mix. So it was all local MCs and beat producers and stuff and whatever. And that was all uncensored hip hop as well. But yeah, so yeah, mad fun.
That's nice of you to plug the homies.
Yeah. They asked me to do a mix of uncensored hip hop, and I was like, what would I rather do than big up all the dope people from our state, And so I put out like a little casting call of like, send me some work if you've got any. I've got some, still on the files in my computer, but and was able to put together, I think 23 tracks or 24 tracks, something like that. So yeah, not too shabbaroo.
That's amazing. Look, I got one more note in here that I got to ask you about. Two more. One of them is I think this might have been from your wife too. Said Kyle has a story about AK 1200 at an after party.
Yeah.
Back then was like, whoa, I'm gonna let you do your scratch thing. He was still a big hitter in the genre. Not sure if he is now, because I'm so disconnected. But even still, he held mad respect. And here, Kyle hops. Then he goes, "Oh, this is disjointed." But I'm guessing you know what this is about here.
Yeah. So there's a night down in Boston called Elements. It was at a place called Phoenix Landing. And they would bring in these really dope, drum and bass DJs and stuff and house DJs and all sorts of other different things and electronic kind of stuff. And this is when I was really kind of getting into that kind of music. And the reason I liked drum and bass so much is because it's double time of hip hop. So hip hop mostly falls between 80 to 95
Yeah.
BPMs. So sometimes it goes a little bit higher when you get into that like party rap stuff. But for the most part, it's down there. And so if you double that, you're at 160 to 170, 180, which is drum and bass. And so that's, and that's something about that. I was able to, unlock scratching at that speed, that super fast speed. And that became really fun to do, So I practice it a lot, scratching the drum and bass is still something I love to do.
Sick.
It's high
What
energy.
about jungle? Did you ever get into jungle at all?
Yeah, that's like a subgenre. Yeah, subgenre of drum and bass. So yeah, jungle, and there's like I don't know, like chill drum and bass, and there's like I call it train drum and bass. Like it sounds like it sounds like a train fucking moving. There's all sorts of different stuff. There's halftime drum and bass, which is
what
like
about
that.
house music?
No, house music is slower. That's like 120 to 130 BPMs, but I love that stuff too.
Your wife said maybe you was into that. Yeah.
I used to hate on it so bad. I actually had a funny story that I know was in the phone that I had to tell you about, but it was I used to go into the green room, sorry. It was a little joint like kind of across the road from Vermont Pub and Brewery. And that was one of those places I'd go in, I'd get like an hors d'oeuvre, I'd hang out, whatever. And then they'd start this open turntables night with like Karen Oken was back there in the day, and Rachel Repstad and Chris Maynard, and like some of those homies. DJ Fat Tricks is Chris Maynard. He's still a good homie. And so we DJ'd one of the last A-Dogs a couple of years ago. But anyways, so I go in there and I don't know shit about electronic music at this time. I'm like 17, 18 years old at this time. And I just want to come in there and be like Mr. Badass hip hop DJ, and I'm gonna scratch and be Mr. Cool and whatever, and so I ended up really kind of digging the music they were playing. I hadn't really heard too much of shit like that before. And so I talked to him. I'm like, so what do y'all play here? Techno? And I'll never forget Karen Oken being like, none of us here play techno. Most of us play house. Some of us play breaks. There's a few drum and bass people, and nobody really plays techno anymore. And I'm like,
he's all playing techno before we knew like the differences, right?
Right. So it was just a really funny introduction to it. Here I was thinking I was going to be Mr. Cool, and I'm the one that gets learned. But so then we ended up, being really great friends, all of us. And I would sit in there and I would scratch to their music. So before I had even made a catalog of house music and electronic, drum and bass and dubstep and all that other stuff, I was just scratching to it because I thought it was fun. And then I started collecting all that kind of music and practicing with it a lot, a lot of, Rusko back in the day, and Skrillex and stuff. And
Skrillex is not bad. Or
yeah.
Who am I thinking of? Pretty Lights.
I love Pretty Lights and Grammatic and stuff. I'm not gonna be able. Oh, there's a funny one. I
was just listening to Slipknot before our interview. That's what I listened to get pumped up for this interview.
Yes, I was trying to dig out
Duality.
Anyways, I'll get back to the storytelling. I have the Skrillex albums. I have what is it, Sprites and Monsters, and I have Bangarang on vinyl.
Bangarang.
Yeah, the whole album.
The Rufio cover album.
Yeah, dude, there's some tracks on there that's still pretty dope. They get a little obnoxious. I have Girl Talk. I have Girl Talk, the weird DJ mashup DJ.
Girl Talk's dope.
Yeah. I have his Night Ripper album on vinyl somewhere in the stack, which is like so heavily sampled and not paid for and stuff. It's the record label that made it is called Illegal Arts. So the vinyl, I think I have the sticker from Pure Pop. It says $24 on it, and on Discogs it goes for over 300. So it's one of those like little gems that I'll keep in there. But so anyways, we go out to one of these nights, Phoenix Landing. They're playing electronic music. Kate and I are dancing. We're having a great time. It's this guy, AK-1200. I've never heard of him before. And we go back to our homie's loft spot. It was down in Alston, Mass, which was like, I think right next to Phoenix Landing there. And it was like this big, warehouse loft spot. And a lot of times the DJs at those shows would show up. And AK-1200 showed up at that after party, and I was DJing drum and bass, and I was having fun and scratching and playing to it. And he comes over and he's like, "Yo, can I scratch to this with you?" And I'm like, AK-1200? You mean the guy that was just headlining the show that I was just at?
Maybe
Sure.
if you're not a dick about it.
Yeah, no, I was like stoked
Wow.
about it because he didn't scratch at all during his entire set. So I was like, "You do that? Like you scratch to this? Like go for it." And so I stepped back, and he did his little thing, and for it was more like I would say like album cuts, more like DJ Premier. He was scratching halftime to the drum and bass, so he was scratching at like hip hop speed to the drum and bass, and so then he steps back, and I step on and I go drum and bass speed, like super fast. And he just looks at me and he goes, I could, and I kind of look over whatever, and then I step back and he goes, no. it was a fucking 8 Mile moment. You know what I mean? He didn't want to scratch battle back and forth with me anymore. It took one round. And
I love DJ Premier too. I was hoping you would say his name sometime in this interview.
yeah, I have a whole bunch of his instrumental albums. He was really big influence on me just to like calm down, basically. Like I have a funny story of back at a college party in the day when I was at UVM with DJ these house parties and stuff. And a guy came up to me and he goes, "Can you even scratch slow?" And I was like, "Well, of course I can scratch slow. That's fucking easy." And what I was kind of a dick probably about it at the time. But so it's definitely feedback I've gotten before. But yeah,
Premier was just always one of my big influences growing up. Like in terms of beat makers, like he just has some of the all-time classic beats.
oh yeah, yeah. What is it? Geez, I can't remember right now. It's Gangstar's. It's that story rap. Geez, and it's funny. You put me, yeah, just to get a rep. There it is. Thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah, just to get a rep. Yeah. That's one of like the first songs I heard Premier's beat, kind of production on, and like the complexity and all the little things in it, and the drops and the pullouts, and and all the little sample hits and stuff. And yeah, I mean, what a fucking wizard. And the guy still DJs.
Brothers are amused by other brothers' rep, but the thing they know best is where the gun is kept.
Gun is kept. Yeah. He still DJs too with a mixer on one side and two turntables on the other. And like, you know what I mean? It's like this really weird old school style.
Instead of in the middle?
Yeah. I tried that shit back in the day. I used to fuck around with positionings of my turntables. I'd change them from, this way to this way and put two on this side or put two on that side, whatever. And yeah, but it's just funny that he still does it. To me, it's confusing as all get up. I forget what side's what, but
look, Kyle, I got one last question loaded up in the thing here.
Yeah.
This has been a fantastic boy. I think we got about an hour and a half rocking here. I gotta ask you, I believe we did a comedy show one time where you was my DJ.
Yep.
Yeah. How did you like that? Was we funny?
If
we started doing comedy shows again in Burlington, would you come out for that?
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. And it would be fun to even like work on some stuff, like to do back and forth together with some sort of, samples, records, music, any of that kind of stuff. I'm always down to work, and use the art to do other things with. That would be mad fun. I always think of Russell Peters as a comedian that does, he actually DJs himself.
Does he? No shit.
Yeah, and he would actually. I've seen videos of him cutting it up, and they're better than Shaq. I'll tell you that much.
No shit. Well, Shaq was whatever, but yeah.
Dude, well, DJ Diesel, man, Shaq, I love what he plays. He's got to work on his cuts.
But Russell Peters is sometimes pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he's fucking hilarious, man. I love that guy. But it's just funny. He would talk about him being in hip hop, and apparently when he was a kid, like in his comedy routines, I'd see he talk about like he was into breaking and shit and DJing when he was a kid, and he'd always have he'd have built from scratch, and he had another DJ touring with him all the time. That each one would be in a corner, and they would add different things to his set, and I just thought it was a really cool idea. And then after that, once like TikTok and all that shit kind of blew up. Somewhere there's a video of Russell scratching, and it's good, it's not fucking woo, but it rides, it holds.
Word up.
Yeah. But dude, if you're ever down to do comedy shows, man, that I love what you do. I've been doing stuff with Mecca too, as well. And
Mecca's my dude.
Yeah,
Mecca put me on to some of my first shows, the totally inappropriate shows.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And I've been doing a couple of different shows with him, but comedy and hip hop kind of like go together. I think it's just kind of like do
along
you ever
along with the along with the cannabis, I believe.
well, that too? Yeah, for the for most people's part, but yeah, yeah.
No.
I was gonna say comedy hip. Do you know Matt Hagen? No, he's like High Breaks. He's in a group. He's a local cat. He's been doing some DJing recently and playing in bands. But back in the day, he used to just go by MC Hagen. Right? Notice they're just going to use his last name, like I was saying about people's names. But he would do comedy raps, and they were off the walls. Like, dude, I would be in stitches in the back. And then the next day, I'd be sitting at my fucking sink going, my wishes, my wishes, my wishes to never do dishes. Dishes, my
Yeah,
wishes.
hey, I have that
You
same
know,
wishes.
and like, dude, and he would come up with these hilarious fucking rhymes about like getting a hot dog like late at night and needing like a street missile in his mouth, and like, oh my god, like, and he'd dress up, he'd be in the full garb, he'd have like the big ass sunglasses and like bright white shell toes with a full Adidas tracksuit and shit. And oh man, dude, I thought it was hilarious, like combining hip hop comedy. Like, I'm all for it. So
Okay.
um, but
Okay.
yeah.
We're gonna call him up tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's do it.
Uh,
Um,
Kyle, I gotta get out of here. I gotta piss wicked bad, but I always save the last word for my guests. I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. This has been even better than I hoped, man. And I'm gonna leave the last word for you. Thank you so much. If you got any plugs you want to dump out here, this is all you right now.
Word. Well, yo, thank you, Caleb, for having me. Finer Print. You guys have been doing an awesome job over there. I really appreciate, everything you guys are doing. And investigative journalism is something I've been into for a long time, and exposés and stuff, and really putting it to the the people and letting them, you're not gonna beat around the bush. So I really appreciate that. And I thank you for letting me ramble. I know that I'll talk all day, man. I'll
I
talk your
love it. You make my job easy, motherfucker.
But yeah, I got hopefully next year we're going to have some things in the books. I don't want to say too much, but we're hoping to bring back a monthly establishment of some kind that's going to be focusing on mostly local MCs, with hopefully we're going to see regional acts. I know that I'm working doing a pro bono thing too with an individual that's going to hope to use that money from the pro bono whatever to feed it into a bigger act this summer. I know Mecca too has been talking about big plans that he's got supposedly as well. So there's things in the books. There's some people are working and whatever. I don't want to say too much, but there's definitely people are just as driven as I want to be, and keep working and pushing and doing stuff. So thanks for listening, everybody, and hear me ramble. Caleb, thank you so much for having me and everything.
My
And I'll
pleasure.
get to the bathroom, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna go pee. This has been fantastic. I'm gonna blast this up tomorrow. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Yeah.